Hey, I know this is a surprise to see me live. I wanted to get this video out today, and I didn't really have the time to record and edit. So here we are. Um, what I wanted to talk to you about today was, like how wild it was that within 24 hours of the US election a few weeks ago, internet searches on like how to move abroad shot up nearly like 1500%. Um, and I guess that's not totally surprising, but it's still such a big number for a lot of people who were some of those folks doing the searching. One of their biggest like roadblocks to leaving the US is figuring out how they will earn money. I think a lot of people are like, well, obviously you get a remote job. And yeah, that that is one option. But um, you know, a lot of other countries in the world are just like the United States. Because some people think, oh, get a remote job or get a job in the country you're trying to go to. A remote job is a valid option, but I think what a lot of people miss is that getting work in other countries. While it is not impossible, it is difficult. Despite what a lot of folks on the internet would have you believe, getting a work visa in the US is difficult. Our government makes it difficult for companies to hire foreigners and to give them visas. Other countries do the same thing because they want to protect the jobs that are there for their own people. And so, if you are kind of um, what's the word? I can't think of the word right now, and I'm trying not to be here long because I gotta go do something else. But if this is sort of like taking the wind out of your sails and you're thinking, "Ugh, finding a job in another country is really hard," or that I've been looking at remote jobs and I haven't been able to find anything, you do have another option. I will just go ahead and point out now in the description of this video are other videos that I've made about working abroad, finding a job abroad, that kind of stuff. So if that is something you're interested, check out those links in the description. But before we jump into that, I see the folks in the chat. But if there is somebody new watching this that is either not in the chat or watching it on the replay, I wanted to welcome you to my channel. My name is Adelia Aborishade, and I help Black women live their best life. Plain and simple. Now, how do I do that? I share my experiences leaving the US, which I did 8 years ago. I've lived in a total of 5 different countries. I share about traveling because I am an avid solo traveler. And we also talk about money on this channel because you cannot live your best life if you don't have any money. Okay. So if those are topics of interest to you, please subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. By subscribing to the channel, you let YouTube know that you want more content like this to show up in your feed. I'm not going to keep y'all here all day, but for those of you who are trying to go abroad and you're trying to figure out that key piece of how can I afford to move abroad? Like, how can I make money so that I can eat, so that I can pay for shelter? I want to remind you that you do have options beyond remote work and getting a job in another country. There are, here's basically, I'm gonna give you 10 jobs, but they're all tied together in that they provide services to people, specifically other foreigners in the country. Uh, in all of the countries that I have lived in, I have seen people in groups, WhatsApp, Facebook, what have you, asking for people who provide these services. And I know you might be thinking, well, that sounds like running a business. I don't know anything about running a business. Yes, it is a business because, see, this is something people don't consider. They often think of retirement visas. They think of, digital nomad visas. But a lot of countries who might not have a digital nomad visa probably has some form of a business visa. And so you can be a solopreneur. Your business can just be you. Okay. So here are 10 jobs, 10 businesses that you can start abroad. These are 10 jobs that you can take with you pretty much to any country in the world. And like I said, they're all connected to services that other foreigners are often looking for. The first is esthetician. Um, as a Black woman, it is very hard out here in these international streets to find someone to take care of my skin and to use products that are appropriate and who aren't going to be doing things that is not proper for somebody with melanated skin. I That's a video I did forget to link, but I will link it. I interviewed Corinne of Skin by Corinne. She is an esthetician. She created her own business here in Mexico City, where I live. And I interviewed her and she talked about some of the process of like what she had to do in order to create her business here. So I will link that video in the description. So that's one. Number two, barber. Y'all, not a week goes by that somebody doesn't ask for a barber that knows how to cut black hair. My barber here in Mexico City, he's actually Mexican, surprisingly, but turns out he knows how to cut black hair. And as a result, I have recommended him to so many people. And one day he came to cut my hair and we talked about like how many of his clients were Black and how his ability to cut black hair like gave him access to a whole client pool he didn't even know was there. So we've got esthetician, barber, in that same vein, natural hairstylist. Because yes, there are hairstylists, but much like in the US, a lot of them are not trained on the kind of hair that we have. So if you have a skill set that involves knowing how to care and style for natural hair, that is a service that you can provide and you can make money. The same goes for people who know how to do braids and who know how to do weaves. Because particularly, so many of us who are choosing to leave the United States are not necessarily going to countries that have a large Black population. And so there aren't a lot of people who can do these things. And I would argue, even in some of the countries with large Black populations, they may not be as skilled in these areas as some folks you've had experience with in the US. So what is that? One, two, three, four, five. That's five jobs right there. Number six, makeup artist. The number of times that I have been asked, can anybody recommend a makeup artist who knows how to work with Black skin? Now, honestly, I think if you can work with Black skin, you can do pretty much anybody. I am not saying that your clientele needs to be exclusively Black, but I'm just saying that that is a market that exists who not enough people are serving them. Okay. Um, got a good question here. Do you need to go to school? Well, you need to be able to have these skills. Um, when I interviewed Corinne, her previous career was in HR. She went to school in the US to become an esthetician, and then she used that to transition into working in another country. So, do you have to go to school to braid? I think no. I think your work will speak for itself. So, y'all will determine some of these jobs. Yes, I think you do have to have some form of a formal education, but not necessarily a college degree. And I know that that's a stumbling block for a lot of folks because they think you need to have a job that calls for a degree in order to afford to live abroad, and that is not the case. All right. So the last four jobs on my list do require some form of education. Um, Again, like I said, all of these are services that can be provided to folks who live in other countries. We're always looking for folks to help with tax preparation, particularly, I would imagine digital nomads in particular might need that service additionally. Tax preparation, um, accounting assistance. It kind of goes without saying all of these things, while they may or may not exist in your target country, having somebody who can do them in English and who understand the needs of this specific population, that goes a long way. So, what is that? Number 6, tax preparation accountant, um, a coach or a trainer. I have a friend who was a certified trainer in the US and outside the US would work training kids, training youth. If you think about it, most countries are not like the US and a some kind of sports is included as part of the school day. In most other countries, if you want to play volleyball, you want to run track, those kinds of things are outside the school day. But so that's an opportunity if you've got experience and expertise in that area, being a coach or some kind of youth trainer. In that same vein, tutor. There's a lot of folks who are tired of teaching in the US. You can take that ability that you have and become a tutor. Your only option is not just teaching at an international school. Think about it this way. Math is math. Math be mathin' everywhere, particularly advanced math. You can serve as a tutor to students who attend, you know, like American schools, but also think about the homeschooling community, the world schooling community. Often students might need math instruction, language instruction, writing instruction that goes beyond the ability of their parents. And so hiring a tutor would be perfect for them. We would also, oh no, my computer is about to slow shut down, y'all. Hold on. Hold on. Just realized I was muted. Okay, so I'm back. Sorry about that. Didn't know that my computer did not have enough juice to last in this live. Okay, so um, in the same vein of tutoring, if you've got any experience with like college prep, exam prep, SAT prep. Think about that. There are kids who have been going to school outside the US whose parents want them to attend universities in the US, but their uh, counselors at their foreign school is not going to know about the ins and outs of preparing essays and applications for college admissions in the US. So that's an opening, particularly if you are a college counselor, that could be it. You can offer those services to someone. I would also add in um, this is an option if you don't need a degree, you don't necessarily need to go to school. Um, Cooks, chefs, meal planners, meal preppers, folks are always looking for someone who does meal prep, meal delivery with healthy foods. Um, That's an option. I can remember a few years ago, like, I walked halfway across the city to buy biscuits from somebody who was selling biscuits because the biscuits they make here are not like the biscuits I had growing up in Texas. So, there are I can think of people who are often looking for a particular style of cuisine that they used to have back home that they can't get here. That if you have a specialty, and it's different than the country that you're targeting, there are people who want that. So that's another option as well. Now, with all of these, um, it is important that you understand like what are the cottage business laws or what have you in these countries. But like I said at first, um, many countries who might not have other visa options have options for people who are going to have their own business. So that is something to consider. The last one, okay, the one more that I have on the list, because I promised y'all 10. One more that I have on the list is therapist, counselor, mental health provider. And I know there are some of y'all who are thinking, hold on, the way licensing works, I can't do that outside the US. I'm just telling you, one, that there is demand for that kind of service, particularly among melanated folks who are looking for somebody to talk to who is culturally competent. Now, the exact ins and outs of how you do it, that is going to vary from one place to another. But I know there are, because I featured them on this channel before, there are folks who are seeing clients internationally. That might mean that you switch up from being a therapist and you become a coach. But if you've got the degree, you've got the licensing, you can still do that other places. You just got to think outside the box at how to put that skill set to use. I do have time for one question before I go, and I see that there's a question about like ideas for lawyers. Oh my gosh. Like I said when I started this video, if you think about what are services that foreigners need, I talk all the time about how people need to have their end of life paperwork, wills, trusts, um, contracts, all of the things that you can do as a lawyer, um, or even providing like reviewing documents, I would imagine. I think the options are actually endless, but you've got to think about, okay, is there a population of people abroad who I could serve that need my services? When I got a trademark for Picky Girl Travels the World, that was a lawyer who I hired online who was not where I was. Like I tell you what, if y'all could figure out how to become an online notary, that's another option as well. Okay, so that's all I have for today. I got to get out of here. Um, Please, if there is a particular skill set that you're curious about, drop it in the comments. We will see if we can kind of crowdsource options for you. Like I said, in the description, I have linked to other videos all about working abroad, starting a business abroad, that sort of thing. And I will drop the link to my interview with Corinne, who created her own esthetician business here in Mexico City. So until next time, y'all. Bye.